Well, week one, the Dolphins escaped from Foxborough with a hard-fought fourth-quarter victory, thanks to Xavier Howard. Week two, Miami got embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills 35-0, a royal total beatdown. Last Sunday, the Dolphins played dismally most of the game against the Raiders. I'd even include overtime in the fourth quarter. Miami got up 14-0, then gave up 25 consecutive points with a snowball starting with a dumb safety, which might have been the worst play call I've ever seen in the history of Miami Dolphins football. But the team's performance was a lot worse than the final 31-28 score indicates. Dave, we've seen Brian Flores start out slow and then start to pick up speed. Coaching is not one of the things that I would say is a limitation of Brian Flores and his staff. But right now, these Dolphins are not playing good football. Who is this Miami Dolphins team? Playoff contenders or playoff pretenders?
Well, right now they're pretenders, right? Now, if you want to take the healthy, the optimist side, it's that, and you touched on it, the last couple of years, Brian Flores' teams get better as the year go on. His teams, he finds what's wrong, puts a little spackle or comes up with answers, and
ain't no spackle in that line, Dave.
They get better as the year go on. However, as you said, they need a big spackle job on that line to cover some holes, and that's the real problem. Is 3 games, glaring problem on the offensive line, and glaring problem at not being able to score points. Okay, or it really, the coaches have an identity problem on the and we'll get into this as we go on. You touched on it in a column, talked about it, the play calling and all that, and the question is, I'm not sure they know who they are or they trust who they are. They don't trust the line to give them to run the offense they want to be able to run, I think.
Oh, I definitely think that there is a absolute identity issue on this team. And this was the first game with Will Fuller back. He's now injured. Surprise, surprise! Not practicing today. We saw. I think it was like a hamstring injury or a calf injury at the end of the game on that pass interference call that should have been called but wasn't called. But how can you call that at the end of the game in overtime? I was on the fence about that, Dave, because I'm a big believer that refs cannot determine the outcome of the game. And if you would make that call, you would have determined the outcome of the game.
You know what? Call the game. Call the game, whatever it is. It was pass interference. It was 60-40 pass interference, okay? It was maybe 70-30. But,
in real time, it was questionable.
In replay, it was there.
Yeah. Replay, it was absolutely pass interference. But I don't know if I'm making that call. If I didn't do this, I was going to be a referee in real life. I might still do it in my retirement years. I don't know if I'm making that call, Dave.
I'm thinking I'm a high school coach, and here comes referee Omar Kelly, and what am I thinking? What am I thinking?
Hey, I got bigger aspirations, Dave. I'm coaching the college level. I'm retiring.
Oh, you got to start. You got to start at high school, though.
I know.
So, Will Fuller on the he's hurt, missed practice. Anybody who sits out for a long period of time and comes back in a game, that's when injuries occur in any sport. Okay, especially a speed guy. So we'll see. We'll see if it's a. The problem is that was a question.
Listen, they've got more weapons than Will Fuller.
Right.
They have talented receivers. Preston Williams, a year ago, we were talking about how he was dominating practice and training camp and was going to have an amazing season, looked like a Pro Bowl caliber player. Then the season started and he kind of didn't do anything. Albert Wilson, we've seen this man dominate the NFL before. This was 3 years ago. Led the league in yards after the catch in the entire NFL, and then he gets hurt. He's proven that he's a playmaker.
3 years ago, Omar. I mean, here's my issue, and yes, there's talent on the receivers, There's not a number one receiver. There's not that one guy you say, here is our horse, and the other guys fall into line 2, 3, 4. There's not that guy. Okay. There's talent. I'm not dismissing that, but there's
but
not.
Hold on. How many teams in the NFL have the horse? I don't think there are more than 10 that have the horse.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is the parade for the receivers, I felt, has been ahead of who they are. Okay. I'm not saying they're without talent. I'm just saying I don't, and yes, there's depth there and all that. I don't see that one great guy when Aaron Rodgers is going back.
Oh, yeah.
We know who he's going to, and that guy gets open, and Aaron Rodgers gets it in there. There's not that go-to guy. Okay.
Yeah, man, it was beautiful. I hope it comes to South Florida next season. Our first question comes from TJ. How does Flores get his OCs to call a better game, Dave? 2 of the worst calls I've ever seen got called last week, and I would have to agree with him. Not only the screen in your own goddamn end zone.
Hey.
But I mean, and then the 3rd down in overtime where they're running, what was it, an end around or end around to Mike Gesicki? Good God, Jesus. How dumb were these plays? And listen,
language.
There is a rule that I have followed because of a lecture that the late great Bobby Bowden once gave me when I was a young pup reporter about why it's not a wise idea to second guess play calls. He sat me down, and I love Bobby, and I wrote something second guessing play calls. And Bobby didn't even coach the team at that point. But he asked me all these variable questions that I didn't have the answers to on a play that I made a second guess. And he said, we had the answers to these questions, and it's easier for you to second guess it knowing the results as opposed to us going into it with all of this smorgasbord of research and information. We could still get it wrong. So I generally, in the history of my career, do not second guess play calling. This instance, I got to second guess play calling because there were so many WTF moments in that game. You're like, what the hell?
I agree. Look, we all agree on the safety. That was now. Let's put an addendum onto that though. Sometimes your quarterback has to help you out of a bad play call. He can't go to the dumbest possible throw on the field, which is what he did on that play call. Okay, so yes, an empty backfield. You're telling them we're going to pass, and you have that bizarre play to Jalen Waddle. The quarterback, though, he's got to save you sometimes. Okay,
your backup quarterback, though.
Your veteran backup quarterback.
Fair.
Yes. Okay. Fair. Now, as far as the offense and the play calling, what I see and I sense is and I get it, is a staff scared of their offensive line. When they're starting Malcolm Brown at running back because they've watched the later Myles Gaskin get run over by Bills linebackers, blitzing Bills linebackers. They said, we need a bigger guy in there for blocking. Okay. And yet here's my issue. The quarterback was still under heavy pressure. You're getting the ball out so quickly on such short patterns that you're crippling your offense, and your quarterback is still getting under pressure. Take the shots downfield if he's going to get under pressure. Okay, at least give yourself an out of succeeding on offense, and they did there at the end of the game when they had no choice but do that. To me, the calls that got me were 3rd and 3. Those bizarre, what were they to Mike Gesicki? I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but it said, we're scared. We're scared to do so. So we're going to try to little trickeration, and hopefully we can get a first down. And look, we all seen the offensive line, right? You understand why the coaches are a little nervous about what they're calling.
As Joe Philbin would say, they're a little queasy.
A little queasy.
Derek asks, can the offensive line be fixed this season, or do we have to wait until the offseason?
Yes, it can be fixed this season. Yes, and it has to be. When you have that much resources in your offensive line, I'm not going to go through the whole count again.
Go through it, Dave. I think it needs to be a reminder to people. The resources have been spent.
Here's the question. I'll throw this back at you, Omar. If Austin Jackson keeps playing like this at left tackle, do they put Liam Eichenberg in there and move Robert Hunt to right tackle and say, at least we can become a competent line with this out there?
I think that's your breaking case of emergency. And keep in mind, you can also move. Here's my thing about the offensive line, which is the scary part. They're one injury away from being a disaster. They're bad now. Jesse Davis goes down, you're a disaster. And he's already playing on one leg. It is that bad and it's that scary. Yes, but what you said could be a fix and solution. Robert Hunt, it was moved to right guard because the thought and theory was that he can help open up running lanes, and he has been able to do that, but he's proven that he can play right tackle. You can have him at right tackle, but Liam Eichenberg at left tackle. And let's keep in mind, Liam was the worst performing offensive lineman last week, but he's a rookie. He's a young player making his first start at a new position.
I mean, again, I've said this. I'm very confused how they're started at right tackle, moved to left guard, started at left tackle, and now he's back to right tackle. You don't think his head's spinning as a rookie?
It is. No question, it is. But and I challenge Flores on this because, I do like Flores' we play the top five guy mentality. I do like that because I'm sorry, there have been years where Dallas Thomas had been on that line and had no business on that line because he was the backup guard. No, don't do that. Play your top five and figure it out. So I do like that. But Liam is the only Dolphins rookie offensive lineman since the Flores era began who has been cross-trained. Everybody else has played one position and only one position. And
there's a reason for that, right?
Yes, there is.
As a rookie, I mean.
Yes, but they say that Liam can handle it because he is so technically sound and he has such a better understanding because he's well-trained at Notre Dame. They say that he can handle it. Well, if he can handle it, then he's your best offensive lineman. So he plays the most important spot, which for Tua, the most important spot is right tackle. So
solve it.
Solve it. Huh?
Solve it. I mean,
I'm with you. But here's the problem that we have with Austin Jackson. And I think Austin Jackson has a 2 more game audition. He either plays well at left tackle or you are forever going to be a left guard. And there's no shame in being a left guard because there's less room for error at left guard. And you've shown that you can handle it. But then that means we need a left tackle. And so maybe that's Liam. So in my mind, we're going into the Colts and Jacksonville. Austin Jackson, we need you to play well in these games. Otherwise, it's time for us to move you.
And let me say this: his run blocking is good.
Yes.
Look at that touchdown, second play of the game. He pancaked his guy. His run backing is fine. It's the pass blocking that.
Yes, there's no question in my mind he'll be a good starting left guard. He's not a left tackle in my mind. The handwork isn't that great. The footwork isn't that great. And he's exposed a lot against technically sound pass rushers.
Okay, we've kind of touched on the next question from Jake M. Capo 15, who's asking, is it time to throw in the towel on Austin Jackson? I haven't seen a worse starting left tackle in the league this year. We can just pick up there. I hadn't thought about left guard. It's not, you think you're drafting a first round pick.
It's no shame. Overall. There's no shame. If people remember, Laremy Tunsil started his career at left guard and played pretty well. He was the left guard on the unicorn line. That
that's
led
because they had Brandon Albert, right?
Yes,
left tackle.
but there is the shame associated with it. As long as you're a viable quality starter, and I agree with you, he can help you in the run game. If you have him at left guard and Robert Hunt at right guard, you should be able to run the football. The problem is your protection on the ends, and as we see already, it's not very good. Now, Greg Little should be that left tackle option, that backup. However, he's been inactive all season.
He was inactive when they needed a left tackle because Austin Jackson was on the COVID list. That tells you what they think of him, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Let me also say this. It's not all on the players, okay? Schematically, when I look at there was a play, Max Crosby, perhaps the hottest pass rusher in the league, he's being blocked by Adam Shaheen one-on-one. And I'm thinking, how when you scheme this up, does that ever happen?
Raiders schemed it up and created that pressure. And I looked at that play, and based on the protection, the line had to make the call and shift their protection. And Shaheen, sometimes you're going to be one-on-one, and which is why you're not seeing.
In my offense, you're never going to be one-on-one against a.
So that means somebody's coming up the middle, Dave, unblocked.
Well, that's what you got to figure out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? When you're putting in your game plan, and that's what I'm talking. It's not just the players. There's schematically issues.
It started with Buffalo. They have been out-coached in the last 2 weeks, and that's not something that I think is the norm for a Brian Flores team. And I do believe it could possibly have more to do with the coordinators than it does Brian Flores, because I don't think Brian Flores is very heavy-handed on offense. Heavy-handed on defense, but not heavy-handed on offense. And they don't have answers. The one thing you could say about Chan Gailey, and people took a dump on him all of last season, he was not the problem. Best offense that this team has had since, 1984? And you want to sit here and throw blame at him. Chan laughed his way out the door like, all right, you think I'm the problem? See ya.
I think he scratched his head on the way out the door like, what just happened here? But it also, and I agree, it's not directly Brian Flores, but it is Brian Flores in that now he's on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years, and you're hiring sort of an unknown. Okay, yes, he coached, but there's not a big.
No. One guy's been a head coach in the NFL. One guy's been a former offensive coordinator.
I got it. Godse has been in Houston and for a short span. Okay, right? I mean, and so
one's been an interim head coach in the NFL. Very well respected.
Okay, I'm not coming down. I'm just saying. Ultimately, this gets back to Brian Flores. Who you hiring on your? There's changeover. Something's wrong. No. You're right.
You're right. And to his credit, he has taken accountability for what's going on with his team, and he's put it on the coaches.
And I love that. I love that because that says we're going to try to find answers rather than if they ever come out and they say, if we keep hearing execution, that's putting it on the players. And once you fully blame the players for everything, then
they quit on you like Adam Gase did. They quit on you like Adam Gase, yes.
Exactly. And so I like what Brian Flores did there, said, we got to come up with answers. Okay. Miami Dolphins made a wise decision to place Tua Tagovailoa on injured reserve, giving his broken ribs time to heal. Tua will be sidelined for at least a month because the NFL's new IR rules, which force a player to miss 3 games before his return. Omar, how should the Dolphins spend the next month in life without Tua?
Well, one, you got to find an identity on offense. And to me, you know what struggling offensive lines who cannot pass protect do, Dave? They run the damn football.
Which they did. They did well.
Yes.
when they did
here's the thing about people want to say that the offensive line did poorly against the Raiders. And I will say this, because I love trench play. I love offensive lines. Any game where you're running the ball and you average 133 rushing yards and you only allow 2 sacks, that should be a win. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if you turn the ball over 4 times, maybe you're putting yourself in harm's way. But that means you're a 2,000-yard rushing team and you've allowed 34 sacks a season.
Yeah,
tell me what 2,000-yard rushing team is not making the playoffs.
Okay, I'll say this too. Their yards per attempt on a pass were like 3.6 until the last few minutes. That is, let's put it. Derek Carr has 8.8 on average. Okay, for the Raiders, you're throwing 3.6 per attempt. That tells me you are just getting the ball out there. You're not running a real NFL offense. So yes, the offensive line, I get you look at the stat sheet, not bad, but you look at reality, how it played. Those coaches were scared to death of that offensive line.
They should be. As they should be. What have they shown you that does not make you scared to death? I believe they should be playing with 6 offensive linemen on the field at this point. Like, how am I wrong?
I like your creativity, Omar. I like
thank you. I'm problem solving here.
Maybe. But you just said one injury and they're in trouble. Now you're bringing in 6 offensive linemen.
I really do believe. I mean, think about it, the first play where they got to a sack. Did you know that there were only 2 outlet receivers at the first play of the Buffalo Bills game? There were only 2 receivers who went out and ran routes, and the back.
And they had a guy running free.
And they still had a guy running free. I'm like, how does that happen? But then they had 4 guys blocking 1 player. So, that the numbers add up. But it comes down to, yes, they're young. Yes, they're growing. Yes, they're figuring out their silence.
No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear any of that.
You know how you fix it, Dave? You get 12 runs that nobody can stop. And you do it over and over and over again. Then you insert a jet sweep with Jalen Waddle. Then you insert 2 crossers with your tight end. Just run the ball.
They should have. They're up 14, and again, I'm not sure they knew what they wanted to do because they were running the ball effectively at the start, and then you kind of went away from it, and that's when you got into this. What are they doing? Where are they going? And
hodgepodge of an identity. And I think part of the problem is they wanted to build this offense around Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin's basically not playing because he can't really pass protect. Ahmed Salvan Ahmed.
I'm going to let you solve this. I love watching. You keep going with it, Omar.
Ahmed
Salvan.
He's such a talented pass catcher, but what you're seeing is teams see both of those guys in the backfield, and they're like, blitz time. And, what do? You have to play Malcolm Brown. So, Dave, this week, you wrote I don't even know how to describe it.
Disheartening, you say for you. Disheartening. Use that. Go with that word.
You wrote a disheartening column about something I would like to stay in denial about. I have not intentionally watched a lot of Justin Herbert games, kind of on purpose, because I don't possibly want to know or see or think that I advocated for the wrong quarterback. It's a possibility. I'm going to watch. Justin Herbert's playing on Monday Night Football, and I'm going to actually watch. But your argument in a recent column is, listen, I know it's early, but you picked the wrong quarterback.
I don't think there's, what? And the thing is, I don't even think that's a hot take. That's a hot. No, it's not. You talk to NFL people, And this ship has sailed. It's not even close.
It's early, Dave.
After 19 starts. And let's do this, Omar. Do this.
Drew Brees too.
No, do this. Remove Tua from the equation. This isn't about Tua. This is about how good Justin Herbert is. Okay.
Philip Rivers was good too.
Philip Rivers thrown in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but the Chargers gave up on Drew Brees for Philip Rivers.
Well, Drew Brees, you're right. Okay, again, here's what I will say. Drew Brees was good starting in year 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And maybe Tua is good in year 4 or 5.
You will.
You know what? Justin Herbert was good from first start. His first start, he was given 20 minutes warning, no training camp, as we've heard about Tua. No
didn't take first team reps.
Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured for a shot to his ribs to numb his ribs. And 20 minutes before Justin, you're starting. He went out and threw 300-something yards again in Kansas City. Okay. From that day, yes, he had some rookie. Everybody points, the Dolphins beat him. They did. I'm not saying he was perfect, but in 19 starts, his body of work is so good. And you talk about the Dolphins having a bad offensive line. The Chargers, according to Pro Football Focus, Football Outsider, Warren Sharp Analytics, ESPN, had at best a 27th worst ranked line in the league to 32nd. Okay. Justin Herbert, according to Warren Sharp Analytics, had the second most pressures last year, and he was the top rated quarterback under pressure. His rating was higher than anybody under pressure, and he got the second most, and he broke all the rookie records, and now he's coming back. Last week in Kansas City, he outdueled Patrick Mahomes. That's the first thing you need if you're ever going to think Super Bowl in the AFC for the next 10 years. You need a guy who can go into Kansas City and take on Patrick Mahomes. And if you watch that game, didn't need to see that he threw 4 touchdowns. You saw the coach say on 4th and 9, when they can try a long field goal, saying, you go win the game. In a tie game, we're not going to kick the field goal. The ball's in your hands. And he threw up nice pass interference, first down. Then he threw the touchdown. He's everything. If this was going on here, people would be going bonkers. The fact it's going with the Chargers, people are like you. Not happening. I'm not saying it. No, sir. He's great.
Man, Dave, it's so early. I know Tua's hurt. I know he's struggling, but he also is the only quarterback since 2019 who started more than 3 games with a winning record.
I don't want to hear that. I mean, come on. Seriously?
Hey,
I mean, he started it against the Raiders last year, and Fitzpatrick bailed him out, and he gets the win. He started in New England. He threw the interception, and I don't want to pick on Tua. This is not so much about Tua. Maybe he's good. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But I know in those 4 or 5 years it's going to take to develop Tua. Herbert's going to be good great for those 4 to 5 years. That's 30% of a career, 35% of a career. I mean, you're going to say, well, we're fine waiting. No, I'm tired of waiting. Win now. You have
Absolutely.
the chance. You had the guy. How could you miss on that? How could miss
because
on
it wasn't as cut and dry. The film was not good. The college film was not good.
It's your job. It's your job as GM to make that call right. That's 60%. How many times have I said that? That is 60% of your job. Get that guy right. And that was what this whole 3 years was constructed around, getting that guy.
No argument there, Dave. No argument there.
I hate to fertilize the air with gloom and doom. I really do, because we would much rather be talking excellence right now. It's much more fun to cover winning.
No. This is a very and it's hard to sit here and say that this is a critical year for Tua when he comes back, but it's gonna be because one, I'm sorry, 2 elite quarterbacks are sitting out there shopping for new teams next offseason. And I'm sorry, if I'm Steve Ross and I'm this team's owner, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I just want to Tom Brady the situation. Aaron Rodgers would be my first choice. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, come on down. So you want to retire here? Aaron, do you want to be the GM? I am Tom Bradying the situation. And while I love Tua, I understand exactly where Steve Ross is going to be and his mindset. He's sick and tired of being sick and tired and throwing money at this problem with the horrible results and outcomes.
I'm with you. I'm with you. If we get to the end of the season and you're still not sure, or you're going out there. And last year, remember Russell Wilson was also, who knows what's going to happen to him, and he settled it down in Seattle. But the idea was next offseason maybe he'll pop free. What's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? I mean, there are
fix the problem. The one thing that this franchise has not done in the post Dan Marino life is they have not gone all in and given all the resources to an elite quarterback. That's literally the only thing that they have not done.
They tried with Peyton Manning. Remember the Peyton Manning driving on
landed that
by the helicopters.
Yeah, landed that quarterback. Yeah. They have not landed that quarterback.
Right.
I'm full court precedent. I am. And this is Tua's got it when he comes back. And here's the concern about Tua when he does come back. You remember Jay Cutler? Do you remember that guy?
I tried not to, but take me there. Take me there.
Okay. Remember when he played with broken ribs at the end of the season when he came back after the Brock Osweiler? He played with broken ribs. And he was playing hot potato with the football because he didn't want anybody touching him. And they just became such a horrible offense. And eventually the team quit on Gase. And, and my fear is that when Tua comes back and he's playing with this rib, with a brace on his ribs and he's being injected up, he's not going to be the same quarterback. And c'est la vie, man. I love Tua, and I'm confident that he's going to be a good quarterback in 2023. I'm just not willing to wait.
I don't know where you come up with 2020. How do you say 2 years from now? Why? What do you see?
Because I think he's going to have. It's about. I have him on the Drew Brees trajectory. When he's seeing everything a defense is going to throw at him, and he gains comfort and understanding and familiarity and knowledge. Who was playing like that? I watched somebody play like that this week, where it was just a young quarterback, and he just was in his groove. I can't remember who it was, but I was watching a game, and he was just in his groove. No matter what you threw at him, he had the Stafford. No matter what you threw at him, he had the answer.
He's not a young quarterback.
Yes, but it showed me like Stafford.
Yeah, right.
I look back and I think, what if Miami was interested in Stafford?
Yes.
We poo-pooed it. No, it was Dak Prescott. It was not Stafford. Dak is at that level now. He's got a phenomenal run game, but he is at that level now. Well, no matter what you throw at him, he's got an answer for it. And I believe Tua will be an excellent quarterback if he can physically hold up by then at that point. But right now, you can still throw things at him like some of the plays that Buffalo threw at him, and he doesn't have the answers. And, he's basically Justin Fields in this situation where it's just like you could throw things at him and he doesn't have the answers yet. So it's going to take a minute.
Okay, I'll take it to the next one, Omar. Our next one comes from Annie. How can Tua improve during his stay on IR? Is it watching film and playing Madden?
One, people poo-poo Madden. Madden actually taught me the intricacies. Playing Madden taught me the intricacies of the 3-4 defense under Parcells. So I there's so many things.
Wait. You're equating you learning the 3-4 defense to Tua learning how to be an NFL.
No.
Playing Madden.
Madden can teach you a lot of things. Madden. A player has admitted to me that Madden taught him the Dolphins playbook. But anyway, besides that, I think it always helps for quarterbacks to watch and learn and not just be a backup. But this is, I wanted Fitz to start last season because I wanted Tua to watch and learn. I wanted him to gain knowledge without having to be there, then be there and gain the knowledge. And then next year you pay dividends for it. The Dolphins fast forwarded. But I think even Tannehill said that year he spent out watching football and watching what defenses were doing and learning from it. I would have done this if it was this situation. I would have done that. I think that that's what he's got to do in this 3-game span here. And maybe it's a 4-game span because I'm not rushing him back. But Jacoby's got to win games.
All right. FTL 595 has a good one, Omar. Are there any inherent mismatches the offense can exploit this week to manufacture easier offense?
Yeah, they can throw deep. Xavier Rhodes and they've got Rock Ya-Sin, who is injured right now. Their secondary is the weakness of their team. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Devontae Parker. You have Albert Wilson. You have Preston Williams. That doesn't even include Will Fuller, who missed practice today. I'm sorry. Throw the ball deep. Have crossers. Have rub routes. You can be effective. I've always thought this, and I've always believed this. Late in the game, in overtime, or 2-minute offense, why not throw the ball? Why not get a one-on-one and throw the ball downfield and hope for pass interference? It happens so often. Like, that's how Dolphins got back in the game. Like, why don't teams do that? And pass interference, I've always said they should keep pass interference yards, because I promise you, Aaron Rodgers leads the league in pass interference yards every season. And those yards count. They're important. So I think you need to challenge deep, and that's Jalen Waddle. When have you seen Jalen Waddle run a deep route? You haven't. It's really not really part of their offense, but maybe it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're talking more what the Dolphins need to do, and I agree. Quit throwing short. Your quarterback's going to be rushed anyway, so at least try to get something out of it. Try to get some big plays. If you're Indianapolis, here's what you're thinking coming into this game. Okay, this is a bad offensive line. This is a quarterback we know. He practiced. He was with us last year. Okay, yeah. And he's a backup for a reason. Okay, that's what they're thinking. And we just played Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson and Ryan Tannehill. We defensively have an advantage. This is going to be a much better fit for us. They're coming in. That's what their mindset is going to be coming into this game. And why wouldn't it be? Okay, we're going to attack, and we're going to, we don't have to fear the quarterback like we did. And I will say this: I thought Jacoby Brissett played a very respectable to decent game on Sunday. He made a couple blunders. We all know that, but tough. He was tough. Making some big plays to keep the game alive. He did that. He did. And being a big body to shake off some of those rushers, he did that. So I mean, ran for critical first down, kept plays alive. I have no problem with the way Jacoby Brissett played. I would certainly love to see him throw the ball more efficiently. Not throw the ball more, because he's throwing the ball at a ridiculous rate right now. Imagine making the playoffs last year, Dave, and feeling like your franchise is one player away. You go out, you get a quarterback, and then you start the season 0-3. That's the Colts' reality, but it's been a rash of injuries, Dave. Carson Wentz is playing with not one, but 2 sprained ankles, Dave. T.Y. Hilton sidelined after undergoing a neck procedure, likely won't be back. Quilton Nelson, who is not even debatably, he is the best guard in offense in the NFL, probably the best lineman in the NFL. He suffered a high ankle sprain. He's going to be questionable for the game. And there are more injuries than that, which makes me wonder, Dave, are the Dolphins catching the Colts at the right time? Perfect time. Perfect. And did you detect, Omar, just a little quiver in his voice of excitement when he said Quentin Nelson? I mean, he has been right. He loved Quentin Nelson coming out of the draft, and the love is still there. I can still see the look at the shine in his face as he's singing. Okay, yes, this is a perfect time for the Dolphins to come home and get a get well card. Okay, and this is it. This is a scheduling get well card for you. The way it's working. Okay,
which means it's a must win.
Well, I mean, you can't lose this game. You can't. And
is it a must-win day?
I mean, no, there are no in the NFL. There are no must-wins in the first month of the season. But as far as getting some answers and getting some hopeful momentum, going 2-2, that'd be a fine start.
This is a get your groove back game.
Well, you not only want to win, you want to start seeing some progression in. Again, these glaring problems that have surfaced the first 3 games that says we're taking, a mother may I step forward to solving everything. Okay, Jeff needs to know, Omar, how do the Dolphins limit the Colts rushing attack?
Well, I don't think it's hard to limit the Colts rushing attack, considering, they're not doing that great on the ground. Jonathan Taylor, who is an excellent back and should be here on the Miami Dolphins roster, but we'll put that over there. 171 rushing yards on 41 carries, 4.1 yards per average. Obviously, he's not going to be doing that great if doesn't have Quentin Nelson in front of him. Marlon Mack, a back that I'm infatuated with, he's actually on the trading block right now. Makes $2 million a season. He's coming off a season-ending injury last year. He wants out of Indianapolis. They're shopping him as we speak. I don't think the Dolphins should have any interest in him right now because he's going to be a free agent next year. If you want him, just go get him as a free agent. But there are going to be tons of teams a number of teams that have interest because they have back issues. Baltimore, the Rams. To me, there's no receiver on Indianapolis that scares me. And I play things honest in the secondary, and I crowd the box and force them to throw. And I make this an Xavier Howard, Byron Jones game. You've ridden their backs for quite a while now. This is one of those games where you got to ride their backs. And to do that, you got to suffocate the run. You got to choke it out.
Well, let me ask you a question, because this is the guy I thought was going to be their star on defense, and I still think that. Raekwon Davis. He's been on the injured reserve since the fifth play, I believe it was, against New England. Okay, basically the whole season now he's been out, and there's no – I'm curious to see how we're seeing how Brian Flores handles injuries, okay, which is they would not even say who the starting offensive line was right till the final minutes before last Sunday's game in Vegas, okay? And, I'm just curious with Raekwon Davis. He's not there, not back yet. So we're assuming he's going to miss this game too. And when you talk about the run defense, I think of he was going to be my pillar for the run defense. So for the defensive line, okay. And they're missing him, and they're missing him.
And then when he does come back, it's going to take him a month to knock the rust off and probably play healthy. So okay, we're going to go half a season. I don't think that's the reason why they're not doing well against the run. I think the linebackers are the reason they're not doing well against the run. I think Jerome Baker's probably missed a dozen tackles so far this season, in this young season.
You can see where offenses they're attacking Coleman in the secondary when they go time. They are.
But the teams that you played are heavy on the nickel position. So heavy on their slot receivers.
Yeah, and they
okay. You got Nick Needham. Put Superstar in there.
I like Nick Needham. Nick Needham's their third best cover guy.
Yeah, Nick Needham. There's no shame in playing Nick Needham. Just because you added a guy thinking he was better than Nick Needham, there's been a lot of guys added to this team who aren't better than Nick Needham, and Nick Needham just keeps playing. And so I don't look at Nick Needham as a weak link. Just put him out there and let him do his thing.
Not at all. The weak link.
But if you want to know weak links, it's the linebackers. Right now, we watched Landon Robertson. God bless him. He got an interception that turned into a pick six. But who didn't notice that he was dragging a leg, running back on the interception? So a guy we're actually seeing him run. We're watching him drag his leg. But when he's out there playing linebacker, he's supposed to be completely healthy. 9 months after an ACL repair?
He's 82 yards, Omar. 82 yards.
He started dragging that leg at about 20-yard mark.
Give him credit for the forced fumble near the goal line on Oakland, and the Raiders recovered it. But
he strikes people when he hits.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So
he's one of those guys I'll be worried about when his career's over, because he might have like 3 concussions a game. The way how hard he hits people. I don't even know if he would recognize a concussion if he had one. Like that is a physical battering ram of a human being, and no doubt about that.
Yeah, our final question comes from Joey. Omar, true or false?
We have one more, Dave. We got a question here from Jake. Do the Colts regret giving up all those picks for Carson Wentz, Dave? They gave up a 2021 third-round pick and then a conditional 2022 second-round pick, which becomes a first if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the Colts' snaps.
Well, there's the issue. If you're the Colts and their second half of you look at their schedule, their second half of the schedule is easy. First half is a beast, okay? And it really makes it very difficult for decision if they're trending, 1 or 2 games under 500 with 4 games to go, and Carson Wentz is right closing in on that 75%. What do you do? But
I want to see what Jacob Eason looks like. That's what I do. See, he's my future. Wink, wink.
Frank Wright brought in Phillip Rivers last year, and it works. Phillip Rivers is good, but he said I'm done. And then so he went out and he went back to his old Philadelphia, and he brings Carson Wentz. If I'm the owner, I'm saying, wait, we're going to be 0 for 2 here, and as far as getting something out of him if Carson Wentz doesn't show something.
Yeah, but he's injured. He's been battling injuries, and not that I remember very vividly. And this will probably be bookmarked in my mind throughout my career. The joint practices that the Miami Dolphins had with the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz and Nick Foles were the quarterbacks. And I watched them surgically carve up the Dolphins all that week of practice. Both quarterbacks did. And I thought that was a good Dolphins defense, but they just set the bar high for what a quarterback should look like for me. And to this day, they are still what the bar is. Them and Chad Pennington's first practice, that's what a quarterback should look like in practice. Carson Wentz was going on to be the MVP of the league that season until he got hurt. The question is, can somebody fix him? And Frank Wright is trying to fix him. They don't have another quarterback on that roster worth playing, so they're all in. The question is, can they rebound from this 0-3, maybe 0-4 start?
You talk about must wins. The Colts have a must win. You can't go to 0-4, and so
according to Dave Hyde, there are no must wins in the first month.
Well, 0-4 might be a must win. Okay.
I think 0-5 is a must win. I think when you're facing 0-5, that's a must win.
Okay. Our final
question came back from 0-7. Remember that. The Dolphins came back from 0-7.
0-7 to what? They won 5. I mean, what are you talking about?
They won like 6 of their last 9 or something like that. Matt Moore was the MVP.
Year. I thought 0-7 in 2019, Brian Flores' first year. They
ended up winning 5. No, they were 0. Yeah, I don't remember what they were, but they won 5 games. It's irrelevant.
Okay, our final question comes from Joey. True or false? The Colts game is a revenge game for Brissett, who will ball out.
Listen, I think that we don't put enough stock in revenge games, because you know what? Whenever you talk to, and you talk to all the old timers, because you love those old timers. I'm sure they're calling you up and they want to go out this week when everybody's in town to pay tribute to Shula, and yeah, that's great and good. But when you talk to the old timers, you talk to the retired players, man, the top 3 story is their revenge game. When on that team that gave up on them, or that team that cut me, or that team that didn't want to pay me, or that team that traded me, man, They love the revenge game. Jacoby Brissett was given one season, and then Frank Reich got wandering eyes, wanted to reunite with some old flames, and Jacoby got thrown to the side after he was given a contract and given the starting job. Now, I will say this about Jacoby. He's probably the luckiest quarterback that I've ever seen in the NFL in terms of
luckiest.
Yeah. You're in Indianapolis, and Andrew Luck just all of a sudden retires. Yeah, you go to Boston and you're the number 3 quarterback. Tom Brady's suspended, and then Garoppolo gets hurt, and all of a sudden the job is yours. Like, here you are in Miami, you cherry pick this situation. Tua gets hurt in game 2. Like, you have been lucky. Like, you have had opportunity to play after opportunity to play. And if you want to prove you're a starter in the NFL, this is your chance. These are your moments. You play well these 3 games or 4 games, and all of a sudden teams will be calling you in the offseason because you only signed a 1-year deal. And they'll be like, hey, Jacoby, we want you to come be our what's the starter for Teddy Bridgewater. Like Teddy Bridgewater. Now, that's another. I have all these regrets, Dave, that just keep popping up in my mind. Remember when the Dolphins went after Teddy Bridgewater instead of Ryan Tannehill? Not Ryan Tannehill.
Jay
No. Instead of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
So, and he was just like, yeah, I'm not coming to be part of this mess.
Yes, because they offered him a lowball contract, a prove-it contract, and he said, nah, I'll go learn from Sean Payton behind Drew Brees. Okay, and as far as Jacoby Brissett, a revenge game, yeah, they're personal. It matters personally to them. I remember hearing Ryan Fitzpatrick, what's he on his 9th team? He said every week would be a revenge game, but no, he said Buffalo, because he spent 4 years there. That mattered to him going back. Okay, so yes, if guys are being honest, it matters, and you laid it out there what Brissett's really playing for, which is in an era when the great quarterbacks are making $45 million, he could slide into a $15 million contract or something if he has a few good games. Okay, somebody will say, because there aren't enough quarterbacks, as we found out here over the last 20 years. That's what he's playing for, and if he can put 3, 4, 5 good games out there, someone will come calling.
Yes, absolutely. So revenge games matter, Dave, and so do our predictions. I will go first. I am actually going to pick the Dolphins to win their first game of the season this week. I'm going 21-17 Dolphins victory over the Indianapolis Colts. No Quentin Nelson, no victory for me.
Well, it comes down to Quentin Nelson. All right,
comes down to the guards, Dave.
I'm with you. They coming home perfectly motivated. Maybe they found some at the end of offense. Say, we can't dink and dunk anymore. We got to take some shots down the field. 24-17, I'm saying. And the Colts are 0-3 for a reason. This is a get-well card for the Dolphins. It has to be.
Well, thank you for watching X's and Omar's. You can find us on any place you find your podcasts and streaming sites. We will work harder to get this up, locked and loaded on your Apple Podcasts as soon as we possibly can, but they're usually up the next day, and they're on the Sun Sentinel websites in the segments. If you want to ask a question for X and Omar next week, when we're facing, who are we facing next week, Dave? I'm like Flores.
Tom Brady and the
Buccaneers. Oh, how do I forget about the Tom Brady game? The Super Bowl champions. But let's not look ahead, Dave. Let's take care of business here in Indianapolis.
We're allowed to write ahead, Omar. We're not out there 1-4. You don't look ahead.
I don't look ahead. I do not look ahead. I'm just conditioned that way. I just do not. I focus on what I got to do that week. This is always a pleasure, Dave.
One day at a time, Omar.
One day at a time. One deadline at a time, Dave. One deadline. All right. See you next week, Wednesday at noon.